Hey everyone, the Purple Tram Man here, and today we're gonna do a video discussing every single custom that I have made. So let's get into it. The first ever Thomas custom I've made is Alfred the B-12. So Alfred's body was made using a green tender engine that I can't find a picture of for some reason. But I've noticed that a lot of other people have used this engine to make Alfred, while its tender is made using a Douglas tender. The reason it's painted backwards is because the magnets on the off-brand engine are fucked and reversed, so it actually has to be attached this way. I mean, I don't really mind it, but if anyone else does, well, you're the problem. For the longest time, he didn't have a face, and that's because I wanted it to look like really good, but then after years of it being like that, I said fuck it, and painted on one. And before anyone says it, I made this dude long before Richard Jordan got arrested, and there's no way in hell I'm demolishing this. The next custom is one that actually got a video, Algie the Bus. Algie was made using the 2003 Bertie, if it wasn't obvious. He was painted blue, although this shot makes him look black, and the gap in Bertie was filled in with epoxy, which was also used to make the sign on his roof. I also sanded down his radiator cap to like differentiate him from Bertie or some shit. I don't know why I did it. He's also the only custom I have to have a clear coat. Guess I cared about this one more than the others, huh? If I were to change one thing, it'd be to give him a brighter shade of blue. But come on, I ain't doing that shit. Next custom is Louis the Quarry Engine, created by a friend of mine, Duncan Gaming. Louis was made using a 2008 Sir Handel. At least I think that's the year this Sir Handel was made. Louis along with the next two are the customs I definitely put the least effort into. You can tell because at the bottom you can see the blue from Sir Handel. Definitely not the best custom of mine, to be honest. Next up is Jensen the Scottish Brook, created by Peter Sam Gaming. Except that was his old name, because now he's called whatever the fuck this is. Jensen probably has the best paint job out of my friend's OCs that I've made. Like, his paint doesn't feel like I can scrape it off with my fingernail like the others. If it wasn't obvious, he was made using an old-style Duncan. Honestly, he's pretty alright in my books. Next up is Rhett the Foolish Engine, made by Random64. Rhett is probably the worst one, because he's based on his outdated design in an old game. This is what he looks like now. Maybe I'll give him freckles someday, I don't know. The next custom is Tamara the Snooty Engine. Now for those who don't know who the fuck Tamara is, let me explain. So Tamara is an OC made by me and my friend Roland at Chemical Meltdown for our series Steam Engine's Life. She appears in the episode Head Codes. The inspiration was one of our ex-friends had a really dumb headcanon for Lady, where her two lamps were bolted to her running plate because, quote, she looks cursed without them. Well, guess what, dumbass? That's not how it works in real life. So we made a story of what would happen if such a dumb fucking concept was a thing. And thus, Tamara was born. We have a whole arc planned for her, which will come out when Hell freezes over. So give Headcoats a watch. And while you're at it, watch the entire fucking series. Okay, the next custom is the most badass one I've ever made. It's Post-Van! JK, but it's funny to be dramatic. Tom Tipper's Post-Van was made using a wooden ambulance toy that I had. Of course, the siren being cut off. Despite being one of my most simple customs, it's definitely one of my favorites. The next custom is Tony the Trolley. Tony is an OC made by me, who is literally just Toby the Trolley from the Towelton Railway, but a Thomas character. He's also in the Roblox game High Up in the Hills, so please check him out. Tony was made using a hero tender. The reason his face is 3D sort of, is because my dad tried to make a 3D face with epoxy, although it looked like a demented troublesome truck, so we just put the 2D face over it. Gives off a nice look though. Next up, it's the legend Super ED. Super ED was made using this off-brand American diesel. And I was like, what the fuck am I gonna use this for? So I made ED. His side decals were made by Louis at Duncan Gaming, and I edited a Diesel 10 face to give it eyes. Basically, this custom was never meant to be taken seriously, and I hope you find it funny like I do. So to end this segment off, I feel marvelous! Okay, so this custom I don't actually have on me, but I do have pictures of it. Here we have Sodar Online Godred. This one's self-explanatory. Godred, but in his Sodar Online color scheme. Even his creepy off face got painted. I like this custom, but part of me wishes I kept it as is. So that's all the Thomas customs, but we're not done yet. So a few months back, I've been collecting these South Park keychains from Five Below, but there were only 8 characters, and I knew with a few duplicates, I could make some characters. So that's where we get into our first character, Craig Tucker. Craig was made using the Stan keychain, although I originally intended on using Butters, as this concept shows, but I decided to use Stan because the hat would make the whole thing easier. Now because it's Stan, I unfortunately had to give him gloves, as there's no fucking way I could possibly find a skin tone paint that matches these characters. So I went for yellow, as it was shown in one episode. I also wanted to give Craig his iconic deadpan expression, especially since every character in this toy line has the same expression. Luckily, the toys are also cheap, and I was able to scrape his mouth off with my fingernail, and used a paint pen to paint on a frown. Honestly, Craig came out better than I expected. Very proud of this guy. Next up is the twitchy bastard himself, Tweek. Tweek was made during the same time as Craig. Tweek also had concept art made for him. He was made using Butters. And to avoid beating a dead horse, every other South Park custom was made using Butters. His hair was made using epoxy and then was painted yellow. I painted his signature, terrified expression, and painted his shirt green. And no viewers, the skin showing was never an option. Tweek is extremely top heavy and even the slightest breeze can topple him over. Tweek definitely looks the most official out of all the customs I've made, and he looks great next to Craig. Definitely the best of the South Park customs. The third South Park custom is Clyde. With Clyde in my collection, I now have Craig's whole group of friends. Except for Jimmy, but honestly, how the fuck am I gonna make him with them legs? I'm honestly not the biggest fan of how I did Clyde's hair. Looks more like melted ice cream, but I'll live with it. I also made his pants gray, which I know isn't accurate, but the shade of his pants I don't actually own. So gray will just have to do. One of the weaker South Park customs, but it's not terrible. The second to last custom is Wendy Testaburger. Wendy, I'm honestly surprised, wasn't in the original wave. Like, really, why the fuck is Toby here but not Wendy? Wendy's definitely the worst of the South Park customs. I mean, her hat's completely wrong, and the shade of pink is also wrong. I do like what I did with her hair, but that's about it. I'm still happy to own her, but she's definitely the worst. The final custom of this video is Pip, of all characters. It was either him or Scott Malkinson, and honestly, I'm not making them fucking ears, bro. Ew! Pip's pretty good. I'd put him in the top 3 with Craig and Tweek. I especially like how I did with his hat and his bow tie. To end this off, I have to say rest in peace Pip, who died to the equivalent of Mechagodzilla in South Park. Sniffle, sniffle. And there you have it, every single custom that I've made, both Thomas and South Park. There's some good ones, and there's some pretty bad ones. Comment down below your favorite. My favorite South Park one's Tweek, while my favorite Thomas one's probably Tony. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.